What's up, guys? My name's Alexis, your host with Praises in the Pod, and I am so excited to have Mary Ann Kauffman here today. We are in for a treat, guys. I promise. I heard her story a few months back at a women's event, and it just blew me away about God's goodness and all that He has done in her lives. So we are going to start off in prayer, and then we're going to jump right in. So, Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for this place that we can come and talk about your goodness and your faithfulness and what all you've done in our lives, Lord God. Even through the grief and the loss, you have always been there. Your presence has always been there, and we thank you for that. We just pray that you speak to us and through us, and let this episode glorify you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen, girl. So let's jump right in.
Great. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very honored and excited.
I am so excited. So I was thinking about it earlier, like you're the first person I've had that I really have never had a connection to. Like I heard her story and that was like, I heard your story and that was it. So I'm super excited to actually sit down and learn more about you and be friends from here on out. Yes. So start a little bit maybe of your upbringing and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I grew up in Montezuma, Georgia area, Marshallville. I was raised in a Christian family. My dad was a pastor from the time I was 2 years old, and he had such a strong faith. That's something that like I never doubted that my dad loved God and was faithful, and he ingrained that in me. He was also his and my mom's marriage was beautiful and a beautiful example of just faithfulness. And so I'm so thankful for that foundation. I had have two sisters and 3 brothers.
Wow, big family.
Yes. Grew up down the dirt road, so many great times on the farm. And anyway, so I lived there until up until I got married. But I became a Christian when I was 9 years old. I became very passionate from the moment I got saved and was like we were staying at a campground, and I was going around to different campers at 9 years old, handing them gospel tracts.
Already just out there doing kingdom work, ready to go at 9 years old. Wow.
And I'm just so thankful. Like I look back and I just see God just put a hunger in me for him at a young age. And so just knowing the gift that is, even just the gift of faith, and I'm just so thankful. But so as I grew older, I always wanted a family, wanted kids, and but I didn't want a relationship that was just he's a great guy, I love him. I wanted something that God just clearly led me into. I wanted to be in his will. And I had many great friends. There were great guys around. But I wanted one that had a sincere passion for God. I could see his heart was turned toward God.
Truly equally yoked.
Yes. So at even a young age, that was very important to me. So I had this friend named David that I had met when I was probably 13 or 14. He was a cousin of one of my best friends, and he always had such a heart for God, and we could really connect on spiritual things. And most of the time it was just like messaging and stuff, but I could just see a depth in him, and it kind of helped set a standard for me of what I wanted. Like there are guys with that kind of heart for God, but we never had any kind of relationship. But there was a foundation of a great friendship there.
Yeah.
You'll understand why I bring this up later. But so when I was 17, David actually invited me to a youth conference that was in South Carolina. And I met someone there just briefly, Marcus Kauffman, and we barely talked. But I went home from that, and me thinking I knew nothing of him, and he went home to his family and told them I found the one.
Wow. Just by a brief moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know if that was like he felt that from God, or if it was just like feeling pretty confident that he can make this happen. But he first started, I think he sent me a message. Yes, I had shared the one Sunday morning at the youth conference. and I shared a song I wrote. And anyway, he sent me a message about that, just blessing me in what I shared and how it impacted him. And then we just started right away talking about the youth conference and what God had done in our hearts there. And so in my mind right away, this is just that kind of conversation. I had zero expectations for it to be anything else. And as time went on and we were messaging a lot, my parents were like thinking maybe he's a little interested. And I was like, there's no way. Well, yeah, he was. And yes. So I was 17 at the time. My dad wanted me to wait until I was 18 to date. So we had some communication for about 8 months, but Dad wanted us to kind of hold back on that. Mm-hmm. And then he came to visit and to go on our first date, us never having really hung out much. It was a bit scary. Wow. I remember like watching out the window for him to show up and being like, what am I doing?
And then when it gets there, you're like, oh my gosh, right. What's going on? Like
also,
freaking out.
In the culture I grew up in, you don't date, like it's not a lighthearted thing at all. Like I know a lot of people date 13, 14, 15, they have a boyfriend and girlfriend. This was like, felt a lot more serious.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be, but so yeah, we hit it off right away. Like,
where was he from?
He was from North Carolina.
He was from North Carolina. Okay, so he traveled from North Carolina to come visit you to take you out on this role. Wow.
And he was 23 and I was just turning 18.
Okay. If he wanted to, he would.
Yes. So, yeah, that first weekend, he told me he loved me. He was just all in. He just knew.
Yeah.
And yeah, our connection spiritually and everything, it was just amazing. It felt like everything I had hoped for, dreamed of.
Wow.
So that was in October. We started dating. In March, we got engaged, got married in September.
Bang.
Yes.
We know.
Yes. And I moved to North Carolina. We had a fantastic marriage. He was, a quality that I appreciate in someone is weirdness. Like the best kind of weirdness. Yeah, quirks. We just like got each other's humor and laughed so much and just had a great time. But so I wanted kids, but I wasn't sure if I was ready. Like I was a little scared, pregnancy and all of that. But about 8 months in, I found out I was pregnant. Then when we found that out, he tells me that he's been praying I would be pregnant. I'm like, oh, you could have consulted me.
He was like, I'm just going to go ahead and start praying for this.
Straight.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was pregnant at, I think it was 8 months after we were married. And right away, Marcus is just like, this is going to be a healthy pregnancy. You're going to be so healthy. And he's just right away, we go straight to the grocery store and start buying all the healthy things that maybe we don't even normally eat. And it's just like, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Before the nausea hit and I couldn't eat anything healthy. But there's one story that just cracks me up because it's so Marcus. We went to a grocery store and so we're going through the aisle that had his favorite things, like his weaknesses were like Dr. Pepper and sweet chili Doritos.
Ooh.
Well, so we go through that line and he gets his Dr. Pepper, his sweet chili Doritos. We go over to the eggs and I start to reach for just the normal eggs. And he's like, we should get organic. And I like look at him like, clearly he's not seeing the irony in this.
Yeah. Like, you just got junk food and now we have to get organic? Where?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Like, he looked at me very seriously. He's like, you cannot put a price on good health. And I was just like, then I pointed out the cart and I had a great laugh over that.
That's a sweet memory.
Yeah. So he was so excited about the pregnancy. He like went to all of the appointments with me. He had a countdown app on his phone and he was just so excited to be a daddy. We found out it was a boy. And we could see already in the 16-week, it was a 4D ultrasound. We could see that he had some of Marcus's features, which was crazy. Like when he was born, it was so much like we could tell in the ultrasound, but so that was special. Anyway, we were, Thanksgiving. So I would have been 7 months pregnant. We spent the Thanksgiving weekend with my family, had a great weekend with them, lots of special memories there. And then, came back late one night. The next morning went to brunch with his family. And on the way back, like he was going to have off work that day. We were just kind of planning out our week. And we were actually going to be leaving, I think the next day, maybe, to go sing at a prison crusade. We were in the singing group that would go to prison crusades and sing. And anyway, we were just showing up at our home, and coming down the road toward our house, we saw a guy was standing out in front of our house, like right out by the road, but directly in front of our house. And just down the road, we could see a car with its hood popped. And so it looked like maybe this guy needed help. So Marcus just pulled over, rolled down the window, and asked, "Do you need help? Can we help you?" And like I can still so clearly see this guy. He just looked at us and didn't say a thing. He just looked into the car and said nothing. And so we were a bit puzzled, and our dog was there kind of jumping on him. We thought maybe, or I thought maybe he's just kind of freaked out at the dog and just like kind of frozen. Marcus just right away rolls up the window and starts driving away. And so I'm like, hey, he needs help. Like, anyway, Marcus had sensed like something didn't feel right to him. And so we had some close friends that were our neighbors, and he just wanted to take me down there and drop me off at their house. And I've always just, I believe the best in people. I just think, I mean, I felt bad that we were just leaving this guy there. I look back and I'm like, if we had done just what I felt, there's no telling what would have happened. But so he took me and dropped me off at a friend's house. They were gone at the time, so I just sat on their back porch. I remember he like walked me up to the porch, and like I look back at that and I'm like, what? Like that, there was no need for him to do that.
Yeah.
But, and he, as he was leaving, I was like, be careful. And he was like, I will. I'll be right back. He left, and I was waiting there, maybe a tad grumpy in the cold. And it started getting longer than I thought it would have. And then all of a sudden, it was just strange because the car that had looked broken down comes toward the house that I was in really fast. And then I was on the back porch. I could hear on the other side of the house the car turning around and squealing tires and going back toward our house. And I like stood up and was trying to see. You can almost see our house from there. And like 30 seconds later, I heard a bunch of gunshots. And I was like trying to speak reason to myself, like, don't panic about nothing. I start trying to call Marcus, and it just was going straight to voicemail. And I tried several times, and then I really was freaking out. I called his dad, and they lived about 5 or 10 minutes away, and he said that they're coming. So then I just like, I couldn't just stay there. I don't know what I was thinking I would do or how I would help anything, but I just took off running with my 7-month pregnant belly down the road, crying. And in that moment, I just wanted to call my mom. And I called her, and I was trying to tell her what's going on. And she's like, Mary Ann, if something happened, they could come back, get off the road. So I got off the road. There were some hay bales nearby. I just hid behind there, and Marcus's parents came and got me.
I can't imagine what your mom feels like in this moment.
goodness.
Like her, because you're in North Carolina,
Yes.
and
So
she's
for
in
her,
Georgia, and like as a mom, you would just feel so helpless, and
she is always
panic.
the closest mom, most caring, like, help with everything. And she was so far away.
But it was smart for her to be like, girl,
Absolutely.
get off the road.
Absolutely. Like I look back and I'm not sure what my intentions were but so they picked me up behind the hay bale. We go up to our house, and Marcus's car is gone. And so me and Marcus's mom stayed out in the car. His dad went in, and he came out and said the house is ransacked. So we knew right away, okay, something weird is going on. We start calling for Marcus. We're like, where would he have gone? His car is gone. And about that time, a cop comes driving past the house, and we noticed him just as he had passed. And so we ran out to the road, and we're motioning for him. And so he turned around and came back, and he said they got a 911 call that a house was being robbed. And so then we were like, okay, Marcus must have called. And then he motioned for us to come over, and he wanted to show us that back in the field, on the other side of our house, like there was a hedgerow and then an open field. And he pointed back to the back of the field and said, is that your car? And there was our car, like up against a tree back in the field. And then it was just even more puzzling, like, what is even happening? Yeah, we were just like, what is even happening? But then a bunch of other cops were showing up. And so they go back to the car and we're just supposed to wait there. All this time, we're like imagining all the different scenarios that could be going on. And then after going back, they come out and just start putting up the yellow tape and didn't tell us what was going on. Instantly, I thought he was dead. This is a crime scene because he's dead. And
Did they go check out the car? Or
did.
like, okay.
Yes, we were supposed
But they
to stay
hadn't
there
told you
at the house. No. And it was like no one knew what they should tell me, or it was just finally someone came and just was like, I can't tell you much, but he was shot and he's alive, but he's not doing good. And right away, this like hope it just came all over me. He's alive. And I had forgotten to mention, Marcus and I had like multiple times had prophesied over us something that God had for us, that he was going to use us in a big way. And I remember there being such a feeling of anticipation in both of us because we fully believed this, but our lives looked pretty typical. There wasn't anything. So it always felt like we were on the brink of something, but like, what's God going to do?
Yeah.
So in this moment, he's alive. And I'm like, yes, like God can even use this. And so we just start praying, and friends and family were gathered around and we were praying there. Anyway, they take him away, life flighted him, and I had to stay there and talk to the detectives and give them all the information I could. I still wasn't hearing any more information about like how he was doing or even where he was shot. I was on the way to the hospital in the car when I read an article online saying he was shot in the head. That was how I found out it was in the head.
That has got to be so, like,
it's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, like all the reporters gathered around there, and the fact that they can get information before.
And the wife can't.
Yeah.
You know, like, that is so sad. And I've recently seen something like on social media where like a mom may have lost, like they just kept saying, may have lost their daughter, may have lost their son. And I'm like, well, why are we even putting that out there if we don't even know for sure? And like, just the respect of privacy.
Mhm.
Like, oh,
They just want to jump on the story.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, we get there to the hospital and they came out to give the report, and it was very bleak. They said this type of thing, just the brain injury from the gunshot wound itself, like 95% mortality rate. Not to mention he crashed into a tree. So what they think happened was he was in the car when he was shot, and his foot mashed the pedal down, and he would have driven back and hit the tree. So that started, there were 18 days spent in the hospital, many ups and downs. It was just like, I think 2 days after he was in the hospital that they told us that they think they can safely say he's going to pull through.
Wow.
I'll never forget that day. Like it had been so just sad and solemn. And I remember like when we go to the cafeteria, just very serious. And I remember just this like cafeteria celebration with my family, like he's going to pull through.
Yeah.
I knew it. And so, yeah, there are many times of, like many hard times through it, and times where obviously I would fear, but there was just this like overall faith. And I just knew, especially as the Facebook page built and it was on the news, like we were seeing ourselves on TV and stuff, it just felt more and more like God is just building up this audience.
Yeah.
And he is going to display his glory. He's going to show that 95% mortality rate, that's got nothing on him.
Yeah.
He can't, like that was what I just knew God was doing. And it made sense, like with all the things that we had been told about the ways God was going to use us. I'm picturing like Marcus pulling through this and going around and sharing his story.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a journal to him. Actually, I brought the journal along. I just started writing to him in there, and because I wanted to not forget all the different things happening and to be able to talk to him about it then. And so let me see.
What does these days, the 18 days in the hospital look like? Like, I know y'all had a Facebook page. I've we looked at it, or I looked at it earlier, and so you're already getting these people that are praying, but, like, is all of y'all's family up there and y'all are just constantly
the waiting
praying over
room.
him? Yeah,
Yes,
like,
yes.
all the
The
whole
waiting
time?
room was so full of people and
Mhm.
food that people were bringing that they actually had to, like, tell us to it has to be limited
Oh,
because we were, like, filling up. I mean, there were people there praying
yeah,
constantly.
constantly.
Yes,
I
coming
think
back
I
in the
saw a picture of, like, one of the waiting rooms, and, like, it's just slam packed with people on their
Yeah.
knees just praying, and,
Yes.
like, wow, what a, like, beautiful picture of, what it looks like when we're in need and people are interceding for us. Like, that was just so
It was
beautiful.
beautiful.
Like, just
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
support.
really meant a lot. Um, and so, yeah, I think that was another thing that it was just like I wanted to tell him. I wanted him to know everything going on, but the days at the hospital, I was just there by his bed, like, most of the time. I'd come out and see people out there in the waiting room, but I just stayed in there. It was very hard for me to leave for any amount of time. Um,
But you're not mad at God right now. Like, you just
no,
see the
absolutely
the
not.
goodness in it. Like,
Yes.
this is gonna be
Yes.
good. This is
From
good.
a far out view,
Yeah.
seeing his hand, it's amazing.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so he was about, what was the date? I think when he started really declining was the 17th of December. Um, and yeah, I reached a point where all of a sudden, it felt like he wasn't in the room anymore. Like, before I would go in there and it felt like maybe he's hearing, and I don't know, something just changed. There were like so many ups and downs. They would think that maybe they're about to be able to remove the sedation and see if he responds, but then something would go wrong, like, and they would need to keep it up. Like, his swelling would get really high. They had to immediately, like the night he was taken in, do a surgery to remove part of his skull to give room for the swelling. So a lot of what we were battling with in there was watching his ICP, brain pressure, um, and, like, just praying for that not to get too high, giving him medication for that kind of thing. Um, but then things would look really good and then all of a sudden get worse again. But yeah, those last 2 days, day and a half, I all of a sudden just, like, about couldn't make myself go in the room. Um, and, like, I've looked back at that and been like, "Oh, I wish I had just stayed in there." But it was like suddenly I couldn't. I couldn't handle it anymore. Um, and actually in this journal, interesting thing about this journal, I have, like, gone back and looked at all the different things that could bring back memories, and I've cried through so many different things. This journal, I didn't pull this out until last year, so, like, 10 years in, and I just couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't make myself, and, like, I would every now and then, I know I, like, would come across it, maybe look at a few pages. Um, but last year before sharing at the Grove, I just felt like I was supposed to get it and read it. And it I realized that the reason that I couldn't before was just knowing how much it was written in so much faith. And I think because of how much I'd wrestled with that, like, trying to understand why God would give me that faith and make me feel like he's gonna heal him. I don't know, it was just I was so confused. I wasn't mad at God or anything, but I was just it didn't make sense, and so this part, I just kind of wanted to
Mhm.
not face. But, like, all through this, there's just, like, so many, like, I give maybe a bad report that the doctor said, and I'm just like, "But you're in God's hands," and I know that's, so much of that. And the last thing I wrote was on the 17th, and it's, like, after a bit of a bad report, and I just kind of said what the doctors had said, and then I said, "So, yeah, that's what today is looking like. He plans to do the surgery this afternoon, and we'll all be praying our hearts out while he does. You'll be fine. God's got this." And then I said, "Last night someone brought a lot of mail that had been sent to the church for me, and I was so overwhelmed. There are so many people that have never met me or you, but are sending money, gift cards, packages, and cards. I can't wait till me and you can go through them together. If you could just see all the people that are praying for you, it's amazing. Seriously, I miss you so much. Please wake up soon. Me and Pedro need you. Pedro was a nickname that his dad had given Landon. So, and it just stops there. And so yeah, those next couple of days, he just declined really fast. And it was just kind of like this thing just got thrown to the side, and there was so much just like, it was just so hard to understand. So he died on the 20th. The doctors let us know there was not brain activity, and it's time to remove the life support. And for a while, there was a feeling of betrayal. I wasn't mad at God, but I was just like, God, you've been writing this story, and it felt like you were so in our marriage, and like this was going somewhere. And it was just like, what is even happening? You know the desires of my heart, and you were able to heal him. And I was just so confused.
Well, I mean, you're also 7 months pregnant also. Like, that's got to be so heartbreaking, as well as, like, not just you losing, your husband, but also your child has now lost their father that he'll never get to meet, and just all of this. So, not the anger at God, but you do just feel like this was being written. You were writing our story. It wasn't supposed to end here. I had faith. I had all the things. I've been praying. We've been rallying and just praying on all of this. And so that's so hard.
Yeah. So, Christmas, 5 days after he died, and all that just feels like a whirlwind. Landon was due on February 22nd. One thing I wanted to say. So, like, initially there was that feeling of almost betrayal, just confusion and all of that. But the reason I couldn't be mad, I couldn't feel abandoned, is he was so present. Like, and there's no other time in my life that I've felt him so real and so there, like he was holding me. And the things that he would send along to, like, just like that were clearly touches from him through other people, or like this one time, Mom and I were getting to the mall. We were just getting out of the car, like starting to open the doors, and a song came on the radio, and it was just the first couple notes of it, like no words were sang or anything. And I just felt God tell me, you need to listen to this song. And I was like, Mom, I think I'm supposed to stay and listen to this song. So we get back in the car, and it was Broken Hallelujah by the Afters. I'd never heard it before, and it said, what were the first lyrics? Everything is crashing down. I can barely stand right now. Everything is crashing down, and I wonder where you are. Then it goes on to say, I don't know, even though I don't know what your plan is, I know you'll make beauty from these ashes. So just so many different scenarios like that, where it was like clearly God speaking into it, and like, I'm here, I'm holding you. And the amount of people that were sending, I'm talking like every single day, loads of letters, money, gift cards, and like long letters of like, he was reaching out through his body around the whole United States. And so I was just seeing him in all of it. But yeah, so Landon was due on February 22nd. And people started saying, like, I heard a couple people mention it'd be cool if he'd be born on Valentine's Day, because obviously Valentine's Day would be hard. And but that would have been 8 days early. First babies, typically that doesn't happen. But what do you know? I went into labor February 13th, and he was born like early in the morning on February 14th.
Wow.
So that was
Valentine's
Yes.
baby. That is sweet.
And like the mixture of emotions with him being born, like on one hand, this is the moment that the day that we've been counting down for, like, and Marcus is supposed to be there with me, like delivering. And then just those first moments, like the excitement and all of that, experiencing that, feeling the excitement and the joy, but without him. And he looked so much like Marcus. And so it was such a mixture of emotions there, but he was so healing. Like, oh my goodness. So him and I stayed in North Carolina until he was, I think, maybe like 6 weeks old. I had moved back in right before he was born. I moved back into mine and Marcus's house. We had been living with Marcus's parents, but I wanted to make some last good memories at our house, because it had been such a happy house and I loved it. And I didn't want to just leave the house on that note. Like, with what had happened there. So, yeah, Landon's first couple weeks we lived there, and my mom had moved up to North Carolina to stay with me over that time. So I moved back to Georgia to live with my parents, and then I just tried to find my place. I'd been gone for only 15 months, so I still had a lot of single friends. They were in that stage of life. I was still young. I was 20, and I
Oh,
didn't.
girl, I forgot you're so young.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot that like you're fresh out of like high school.
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
leading youth right now in our church. We've been doing that for 4 years, and it hit me the other night, like when I was talking to one of the girls, and she said she's 20, and I was like, "Wow, I was your age." Like I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, trying to find my place. Like I was young, I was single, and all my friends were single, but also I had this little baby who was very strongly opinionated, and he didn't just silently come along to things.
Yeah.
And so just trying to find my place with that, feeling just very alone in raising him and all the challenges that brings. But he was my joy. I mean, oh, that boy. And then, so David, the one that I mentioned earlier, he was living in South Carolina, and he got offered a job in our area when Landon was about 9 months old. And he took it. And right away, like Landon just really liked David. And David, because of our friendship, and he had really cared about me, and it had been really hard for him to know what I was going through. Well, he comes and starts hanging out with my friends and stuff, and he would just he'd come to the groups that I was hanging out with, and he would just take off with Landon and go hang out with him somewhere, and I could just hang out. And anyway, Landon got really attached to him, and I love that they built that relationship when Landon was so young. And then, so that was in November that he moved here. By the end of January, we were having a conversation about like where this is going. We weren't in a rush, obviously, because it had just been a little over a year since Marcus had died, and there's like Marcus's family to consider, my own like working through healing things and stuff. But I think it was in March then that we started dating and got married in June. Engaged in June, got married in July. So
Ian, my girl knows. She's very confident. She's like, this is it. I know. That is so sweet because David invited you to the party where you met Marcus.
Yes.
And all of this. Wow. Like, look at just how it like,
when I look back
the way
and I see, even the way that God allowed me to have this relationship, like friendship with David, he just felt very safe and trustworthy. And like, I just know he's a good guy. And so then when he comes back into the picture, I think it would have been really hard for me to just trust just anyone.
Yeah.
But he comes back into the picture, and there's that base of friendship and safety. And so, I look back and I just see God all over it. And there were points in the story where it felt like God, it could have looked like God lost control, or his plan was not turning out like, but looking back, I just see so clearly him working through it. And just the way that he works so differently than we imagine he will. Like, right away, all my big dreams of even after Marcus was shot, like I thought I know what God is doing. And it was something completely different. And the ways that he has used it, despite it seeming like it didn't turn out in the way that would glorify him most, he has used our story to touch many people's lives in a different way, and even to bring hope to people who are going through hard things, because the fact is, hard things do come, and God allows those things and uses them. And so just to be able to be a testimony for that and his faithfulness through it. One thing I want to speak into is just like fear of that kind of thing happening, because that's something that I like battled a lot when I was younger. Just fear of losing someone I love and feeling like I couldn't handle it. But just seeing how present God is and how faithful he is in those things. And now being able to just see like there is nothing to fear because he is there and he is reigning in all of it. I think of Peter walking on the water, and I always like correlate it with this because there are storms and there are waves that will come and they'll be crashing around. But Peter was rising above that and walking on the water when he had his eyes on Jesus. And when you can have that eternal perspective and have your eyes set on him and the good that he's doing through it, that kind of thing, you can go through any of those things. And there's a peace that doesn't even make sense. Like in those times, the way that I was being comforted and even the way I could feel joy even made no sense other than him carrying me and me just having my eyes on him. But as soon as Peter took his eyes off of Jesus, that's when he started to sink. And I just think that's a beautiful picture of us. Like the fact is, those things will come, but if we keep our eyes on him, there is nothing to fear.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, girl. That is so good. When you're saying that, I just thought of the same thing. Like, it's the peace that, what is it? The peace that passes all understanding. And like in that, you're talking about like how you're starting to see the good and all of it. Like you're trying to stay seeing the light, and just like if you were without God in those situations, like you would not have been at peace. You would have been not knowing what down and up and side to side. Like you would have just been in pure chaos. But because you knew the Lord, because you had a firm foundation in him, you were able to continue to have peace and see the light and be able to get through that.
The thing of just knowing that this is in someone's hand, that's over it all. It's not just out of control. It's not like he is ordaining things and there is a purpose in all of it. And just knowing that can get you through anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me see. So yeah, David and I got married in July. The first year was wonderful, and there were just complicated things as well with just processing like loving again and starting a marriage, and while like it all being just not long ago with someone else. David is the most incredible man. He stepped into it so courageously. He was like, I look back at his selflessness and it blows my mind because there were so many things that he could have felt like this just isn't fair. Like, but he just was so courageous even in like stepping in and being a daddy to Landon and loving him so well and helping parent him and just like while I was grieving, David just was there and he didn't feel threatened by it. He just let me process and loved me through it. He was truly the hands and feet of Jesus to me and just like showed me Jesus' love in such a beautiful way.
And that would be a very hard role, like having to.
I would have a hard time.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know if I could say this, but I was like, that would be very hard to like watch you having to mourn and be in grief about another man, and we're just recently married and now you're crying, like that would be so hard.
Yeah,
like
I know.
so hard. So for him to be so compassionate and patient and just like truly the hands and feet of Jesus, like just being there. Because sometimes like we do get in situations and we don't know what to say and do, and then we act out or whatever. But you're saying like in his case, like he was just there. He just understood.
It was like God just gave him this ability to just shut down any selfishness that could rise up, like about what he deserves or how, and just simply be there for me.
Wow.
Yeah. It's incredible.
So, first year marriage, just kind of like up and down for you on
emotionally
hard.
Yeah. We've always had an incredible marriage. Like God has been so good and so gracious. We mesh and work together very well. Like I feel like some of the complications that people have with not understanding each other and things, like I feel like, I mean, obviously that comes up, but I feel like we understand each other very well, and we work together very well. I'm so thankful for that. And yeah, we've been blessed with 3 more children since, 2 little girls and a little boy.
Oh.
And We lead youth at our church. We've been doing that for 4 years. We've been leading worship at our church together for 6 years. And yeah, like ministering together it really deepens our relationship. Being able to be used by God together. I love that the ministries we've been called to have been us together. And now, like, the latest things is that God just about a year ago started laying foster care and adoption on our hearts. You know what's crazy is the first episode of yours, I just kind of scrolled and went to one, and like it was right over a time that God was really moving in, like, do we need to start signing papers? I just did last week, signed some of the first papers. But the first one I listened to was Mallory Smith.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize I was going to have anything about that. And as I was listening through it and I got to that part, I was like, are you kidding me? Her story made me cry.
Oh, wow, girl.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. Like, I literally got chill bumps in this hot room.
Like, it takes a lot.
Wow. Just the way God speaks to us. And even in your story where you're saying, like, he sent people and the song played and stuff like that, God speaks to us constantly.
Yes.
He's always speaking to us, but you have to be in line with him. You
Yes.
have to be seeking him and knowing who he is and knowing
Aware of
how.
his presence.
Yes. To hear from him, because there's so many times people do say, like, oh, I don't hear from God. Like, how do you know? Like, whatever. If you're seeking him, you'll know.
And
like,
you're expecting it.
exactly. If you have a heart of expectancy,
Yes.
you will hear from him.
Yes.
Oh,
That's so true.
wow. So y'all kind of started foster care, like the paperwork and stuff like that.
Yes. We're just in the very beginning stages.
Oh
and it
my
all looks a little
gosh.
scary,
Uh-huh.
but also, like, our hearts are so in it. Like, there's not much that makes me cry, like thinking of children in need, neglected, abused, like that kind of thing. My heart breaks. And like, it's scary, not knowing, like, I mean, I know that they've gone through hard things, so there's always trauma stuff to deal with and stuff. But then, like, we're called to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And if we can't, as his people with his spirit inside of us,
Yes.
we can bring hope to them that not many people can offer. So
I love it. Well, I do have a quick question. I don't know if this is going to stay or not.
Okay.
So just whatever. But okay, so Marcus's last name was Kauffman.
Yes.
And your name's still Kauffman.
Yes.
So
yeah.
okay.
I think I forget how weird that is. So David and Marcus are not related.
Okay.
They have the same last name, spelled the exact same way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Landon's name didn't need to be changed, which we wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool that he can carry Marcus's name and David's name, and that there didn't need to be any changing my name or anything. It's really, really
Girl, because when we first started and you said it, and I was like, hang on, wait a minute, that's your last name. And I was like, well, maybe like it was something like really sweet, like he took your last name or something. You know, like, oh my gosh, wow. Just another like spider web in this, like, so crazy.
Yep.
So I guess as we begin to close, is there something maybe you haven't hit? Maybe something God has recently revealed to you, or maybe just some piece of advice that you have for someone. Like, how would you like to close this?
I just, I know I touched on this already, but I feel like my whole heart coming here and just what I wanted to leave with people was just that you can trust the one who's holding your life, and you can trust his plans. And if you're feeling fear about, what the future may hold, or you're facing something really difficult, there are these questions that I ask myself, and I've done this so many times, and it's like these questions that I know the answer to, but I have to remind myself what I believe, and it just like settles my heart. So it's, do I believe that God is actually sovereign? Do I believe he's in control of everything going on, that I'm not out of his hand? Okay, so then do I believe that he's good? Do I believe in his character? And do I believe that he loves me? And do I believe that he's with me? So if this God that is completely, that loves you so much, and is with you in every moment, if he is also completely sovereign, then what is there to fear? He is with you, and he has a plan, and just rest in that.
Love it.
And the peace, I'm just so thankful for the peace that can come from him, because there's so much turmoil in this world, and there's so much that can bring fear. And if we can just rest in our Father and that he's good and he's holding us in his hand. I love the verse that says he holds our tears in a bottle, and just that nearness of him and him truly caring, yet being so powerful and overall. Yeah, it just puts my heart at rest.
Those are
So-
great questions to ask ourselves when we do feel that anxiety and that worry. Like, if we know that all of those are to be true, why worry? Why
Right.
fear? Like,
Right.
he's sovereign, so he already knows. He's already orchestrating this beautiful plan for our lives. Ah, this has been absolutely amazing, girl. I know that this is gonna be used in a mighty way. Ever since I heard it the first night, like, I have thought about you so often and just, like, told so many people about the story or your story, and so it's like, now I don't have to say anything else. I'm like, "Go listen." Yes. She's gonna tell you herself. So this has been absolutely incredible. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. This has just been such a pleasure meeting her and talking to her. So yeah,
It has been an honor.
thank you so much for coming. All right, guys, make sure that you just stay tuned, stay blessed, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.